Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're going to talk about a little people in power corruption this morning. Charles Van Morgan in the morning, welcome. We're on here a little bit before 6:30, trying to catch the early crowd. Thank you for joining us. We've got a very interesting show today. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're going to show you about a little judicial corruption. So we'll wait for some people to come in. If you miss it, you can rewind it. But we're going to show you a judge on the bench. Defamation on the bench. Privileged defamation on the bench by Judge McMillan at the Knox County Courthouse. I promised you I'd show you this yesterday, so we're going to show it to you today. So let's watch this video where a judge defames me on the bench, making fun of me, and I'm going to explain that here in just a minute. And you're going to talk about Deborah Martin and some attorneys for the state of Tennessee, Joe Bartlett, and how crooked these people are. How crooked your state government is. They can drag you in the court for nothing and then defame you. Make you sit there and defame you. Listen to their trash you. That's what the Tennessee courts do. So here we go. We'll listen to it from the beginning.
Consequences fall where they fall. I don't deal with consequences that are not obtained. Two, for someone who says they took much of a law school and passed the bar exam, they should know that this is not a very qualified case because these are not incident partners. Unless there was some fact that I missed with regard to the definition, I can't take away this guidelines. As with all this.
So let me play it one more time so you make sure you hear it.
Consequences fall where they fall. I don't deal with consequences that are not obtained. Two, for someone who says they took much of a law school and passed the bar exam, they should know that this is not a very qualified case because these are not incident partners. Unless there was some fact that I missed with regard to the definition, I can't take away these guidelines. As with all this.
So there you go. There you go. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. So we're going to talk about judicial corruption this morning. You heard the judge. He's referring to me. They drugged me into court wrongly, without any basis, and defamed me. And we're going to talk about that this morning. Judicial corruption from the bench. That's what they do. They defame you from the bench. And defamation is unprivileged communication that is false, that tends to lower you in the standing of society, communicated to at least a third person. So we're going to try to talk about that this morning a little bit, about defamation. And let's see how many people got in here. Yeah, we got just a few. So we're going to talk about defamation, good old defamation from Tennessee courts, and we're going to talk about attorneys for the state of Tennessee. And you won't hear this anywhere else. This is Charles Van Morgan in the morning. And if you get a chance, if you like what you hear, and you might not like it, but it's the truth, then like, share, comment, and if you can contribute, go ahead. But we're going to talk about people in power and their corruption in the government. That's what this channel is about, is contesting the protesters. They're the protesters. They protest against us. We're the government, and we have a right to run our government the way we see fit. And these rogue judges and rogue people in the Tennessee court system violate our constitutional rights and stomp all over the Constitution. So you just heard the recording of the Judge McMillan in the Baumgardner courthouse, defaming me. He was referring to me. He was making fun of my legal education in a Tennessee courtroom. And I can't even sue him for defamation because he's trying to say, he's saying he's lowering me in the stand of the community to at least a third person, to the whole courtroom, saying that I'm not very smart. Because he's saying if for someone that has a legal education and passed the bar exam, so he's indicating that I didn't, or if I did, I'm not very smart, that I should know that he can't take my gun rights in that particular case because it wasn't an intimate partner that was suing me. It was someone else, and for a social order protection that was at a third parties that was at my mother's house, that I had as much right to be there as they did. And the party in the case was not even there that I was supposed to have a social order protection. So how can you sue somebody for social order protection when they're not even there? I mean, in order to have social, they have to be there. But see, that's Judge McMillan, and I'm going to explain to you why he gives an order of protection on every case a whole day, and usually on every case. So defamation is false communication, communicated to at least a third person, that tends to lower you in the standing of the community. And based on your status, it depends on what elements you have to prove in order to sue somebody for defamation. If you're a public figure, you have to prove actual malice, which is knowledge of the falsity. You have to prove that they had knowledge of the falsity of the statement or reckless disregard for the truth. If you're a public figure, that's because if you put yourself out in the public, you make a living, or if you're a politician or even a judge, you put yourself out in the public, then you're subject to public scrutiny. So people have much more right to criticize you. You have to prove, if you're a public figure and you're suing somebody for defamation, you have to prove malice, which is a term of art in the legal world, which means it means something different than malice would to a layperson, or in other languages, or in other speech that people aren't using in legal terms. So it means that if I have to sue somebody for defamation, that they said false communication about me that tended to lower me in the standing of the community, which is what that judge is doing. He's false communication. He's saying that I have a law degree for somebody that says that. So he's trying to indicate that I don't, even though I have the same education as him. And if I do have a law degree, he's trying to say that I should know that. So he's running me down in public. But see, that's the thing about that, and I'll explain it. That defamation is unprivileged communication, communicated to at least a third person, that tends to lower somebody in the standing of the community, puts them down, makes them look bad. So, but it's unprivileged. The judge his communication is privileged. He can literally get up there and he said some disgusting things. He's a disgusting man. That's Judge McMillan in the Baumgardner courthouse. We're talking about people in power, corruption. He's a corrupt judge. He's a dirty judge. He's a thief. So you won't hear this anywhere else from anybody else. So if I sue somebody for defamation, I'm a public figure. I've ran for public office. When I was a state trooper, I was in public. So I have to prove they had actual malice, that they knew what they were saying was false. That's hard to prove. If they've got some proof that what they were saying was true, even if it's not right, but if they've got some indication that it's true, and I'm not giving legal advice, I'm telling you right out of the textbooks, if they've got some indication that's true, some level of evidence that what they're saying is true, even if it's not, then they can say it. Or reckless disregard for the truth. If they should have known, it's clear, compelling that what they're saying is not true, then I could successfully sue them for defamation. Now, there are some public figures, because that's a hard standard to meet. There are some public figures that have been successful in suing people for defamation. So you still have to be careful what you say. But if you got some proof of it, then you can say what you want about public figures. That's the reason why in the news, people in the news, the newspapers, and all the pundits totally criticize public figures to the nth degree, because they know they can get by with it, because they're probably not going to be very successful in a lawsuit against them, so they can run them down, even stuff that's not true, because it's hard for a public figure to prove defamation because of the actual malice standard. So they run them down to dirt, and that's what they did to me. They get by with because of the standard, because if you're a public figure, if you're running for public office, or if you're trying to win public power, or you make a living by putting yourself out in the public, then it is considered that you're putting yourself out in the public, or you're trying to get public power. So the public should be able to criticize you as freely as possible. Let's make sure, as freely as possible, because that's only fair, because you're fighting for public power, and you'll have a lot of power if you win office, or you're making a living off public attention. So people should have the opportunity to have a lot of leeway in what they say about you. So it's a higher standard for somebody in the public to sue. Whereas if you're a private individual, if you don't put yourself out in the public, if you don't run for public office, if you don't make your living off the public where you put yourself out there, then the standard is different. It's not actual malice. The standard is if somebody false communication that's not privileged, that tends to lower you in the stand in the community. So you have to prove falsity of the statement. So if you're not a public person and you haven't put yourself out in the public, then it's not very difficult to prove defamation. If somebody says something false about you, you have to sue them into court and prove that it was false. Let me see how many people I got in here. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're talking about dirty judges in Tennessee. 99.9% of them are dirty. Let's see how many people got in here. Thank you all for joining me. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Hit the like, share button, and contribute if you can. We sure appreciate it. It'll keep this message moving across the state. Nobody fights people in government power that have power over you. Keeps them in check like me. So let's see. Yeah, we got a bunch of people in here. Nobody keeps these dirt bags in check, and they're dirt bags. They're thugs and thieves. People in government power in Tennessee, especially the Tennessee Judiciary. The Tennessee Judiciary is just a surreptitious arm of the governor. The Tennessee Judiciary is set up for the governor, by the governor, to trample all over your constitutional rights if he so chooses. If you say any truth about him, try to put him in check, try to keep them from running over your rights, try to speak out against them, they'll have you arrested. They'll drag you into court on civil charges. They'll drag you into court on criminal charges. And unlawfully, just like Russia. Tennessee courts, Tennessee judges are as bad as judges in Russia, I think. Now, I'm not sure they kill you. I haven't known of any cases like that. Now they may, but by proxy, by in effect, they do. I mean, when they take your reputation away from you, and in conjunction with the news media, post your picture all over the news, and say you committed heinous acts, and then the judges in civil cases without a jury stamp the legitimacy, even though it's not legitimate, of the court system on lies, which they do numerous times. I mean, it's lie from the Tennessee court system, and they get rich off of it. They get rich off of finding you guilty and prosecuting you. That's what they do in Tennessee. So if you're coming through Tennessee, hey, you think Kentucky's bad. I'm telling you, Tennessee, they say they ran a whorehouse from the Kentucky courthouse, a brothel. You look at Tennessee, you talk about a brothel, a whorehouse. They ran a rape house from the Tennessee courtrooms. Oh, let me get off the road. There you go. They ran a rape house from the Baumgartner courthouse. So yeah, there you go. So we're live. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Like, share, comment. We're talking truth to power. We're talking about the Tennessee Judiciary. You ever hear anybody talk about them like this? I'm telling the truth about judges in Tennessee. And I've been put through a lot of this public corruption, but they're not gonna shut me up because I've got nothing to lose. They've already put me in jail. They've already defamed me in their civil courts. Now they had to drop the criminal charges because the difference in the criminal charges and civil charges is when they charge you criminally, they have to go through a jury if you request one, which I would every time. And sometimes these prosecutors are so good, they'll get false cases through the jury, but it's a little protection from you, a jury of citizens that you can appeal to and say, hey, these judges are wrong. Look at these facts. I'll show you black and white here. And a jury is a little less likely to prosecute an innocent person. Sometimes they do. So you have a little buffer zone there. And judges know that when it's blatantly obvious that they're trying to persecute you and has nothing to do with public protection. But when it comes to civil cases, now judges, in a lot of cases, in a lot of their civil courts, like Judge McMillan's civil courts, he doesn't have a jury. He's a judge, jury, and executioner, arbitrator of everything, and defamer. So if you haven't watched it, after I close out this video, rewind it and watch the video where I show you Judge McMillan defaming me in open court. The thing is that judges have a privilege. They can defame you in open court. They can say whatever you want. And he says some pretty disgusting things about me. He runs down my legal education. He says I should know the law, that's not a case where he can take away my gun rights because it's not a Brady case. That I should know that I didn't know that. And that's not even what I said. And then he makes some disgusting statements. And I'm not even going to repeat them. A very disgusting, despicable man says that about me. And if you think about it, and we'll finish up the defamation for a private person here in just a minute. So if you're a private person, I'll explain to you the law about that. But he says some disgusting things about me. Now, if you think about it, I'm a private person running for public office. And I'm out knocking on doors talking about the government in Tennessee, which is my right under the Constitution. I have a right to speak out against the government. If what I'm saying is not true, they've got, if Judge McMillan called the news media, they'd be at his front doorstep sticking a mic in his face, wanting to know what he said, broadcasting it all over the place. He's got a microphone. He can say whatever he wants. People trust him. You shouldn't trust him. And he could say whatever he wanted to say. And he could refute what I'm saying if he's got evidence that what I'm not saying is true. He could say that. But I also have a right to say that he adjudicates against people for money, that he puts people in jail wrongfully, and explain how he does it. I've got a right to say that. And if I'm not telling the truth, you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen. Or you can say, well, maybe that's not true, but I've got a right to say it. I've got a right to say it. I've got evidence of it. I've got a right to run for public office. Now, while I was running for public office, if you think about it, I was out knocking on doors saying, Bill Lee is not a good man. You shouldn't vote for him. He claims to be a Christian, but look what he does. He takes care of his kids, but when you're running for governor, you need to try to take care of everybody's kids the best you can. I'm not talking about social welfare, but I'm talking about where little children, innocent children, and the social welfare system drops through, and little children without medical care that need it, and also for the public good, for tourism's sake, you shouldn't be closing down hospitals in Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the leading states in the nation to close down hospital care for people. He's not a good man, claims to be a Christian, and doesn't do anything about opening up hospitals. And I'm not even talking about public welfare. I'm talking about, can he not get in contact with some of his Christian churches that he claims to be such a highfalutin member of, and work out things where churches can do programs to help open up hospitals or to help little children get medical care. And yes, little children go without medical care in the state of Tennessee. His child don't. And that's fine. Take care of your child, but don't run for governor if you're not willing to help the public. But he's not willing to help the public. He's willing to help his rich buddy, Bill Haslam, to raise your taxes and end his, not even lower his, to completely end them, which is what he done. Now, I should be allowed to say that, and compete against him for public office. And even if I don't have the money or can't get enough votes, I still got a right to run and say that. This is America, land of the free and home of the brave, because they damn sure have a right to refute me, don't they? But they won't even allow a whisper against them. How dare you speak against the Almighty? They think they're Almighty, and they're not. They're not. They're not. So God sent me with my rock to throw it, and I'm throwing it. And I'm not afraid of them. I'll speak the truth to power. So you won't hear that from any other channel. We'll get back to defamation. And Judge McMillan, other than his privilege, defamed me in open court. And we'll get into that in detail, talk about that, and talk about the state attorneys, Deborah Martin, how they lie. They won't give me my law license because they say I'm not candid. I sound pretty candid, don't I? They don't want you to be candid. They want you to back up the corrupt, dirty, thieving, raping judges in Tennessee. That's what they want. And I'm not going to do that because I have to answer to God, and that's not right. That's not protecting the public. So let's see how many people got on here. Like, share, comment, contribute. Don't let this channel die. I'm standing up for your rights too, and everybody's rights in the state of Tennessee. And I've got a right to say this, and I will. Now in Russia, they poison your food and blow up your airplanes. And I'm just peacefully saying the way to combat a lot of this stuff is vote them out. I'm going to talk a little bit about voting here in just a little while too, but we're on our way down to the bridge this morning. Thank y'all for joining me. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Hope you enjoy the show. Like, comment, and if you have anything you want me to talk about, then do. Share this with other people. Don't let this channel die. This is freedom of speech at its best from somebody that knows what they're talking about. I've lived a life. I'm not a 20-year-old, and I liked Charlie Kirk, but I'm just a little bit older, have a little bit more life experience. And God bless young people. And he preached the message of Jesus Christ and his love for us. We all do wrong, but we can ask the Lord to forgive us and come into our heart and save us in Jesus' name. But I'm just a little older than him. I got just a few more life experiences. And God's put me through some life experiences like David in the Bible that learned how to fight a lion and a bear. And God's taught me how to fight. I grew up as a fatherless child in South Knoxville, only son of a widow. I didn't even have any brothers to take care of me. I had to fight for myself. Now, my mother did a really good job, but she's a woman, not as strong, and that's not the same as a father. And so I grew up fatherless, without brothers. I had to fight for myself, other than what my mother could do. And my mother was a great lady. And I plan on living a long life. I thought about this last night. If you want to live a long life, I don't want to be Charlie Kirk. I've lived almost twice his age, which I thank God, and bad stuff happens. I think he was an honorable man. But the way to live a long life, according to the Bible, and I'm not saying he didn't, God has plans for all of us that are better for us in the long run. And bad things happen to good people. But the way to live a long life is, it says in the Bible, to honor your father and mother, that your days will be long. So, let me just say this, and this is the truth. I'm not just saying this because I want to live long, but I had a godly mother, a God-fearing mother. That was a wonderful mother. Geraldine Rogers. My father died before I was 2 years old, killed in a car wreck. And she raised me and my 4 sisters by herself. And disciplined, sent me to a private school, drove a bus so that I could go to private school and learn Christian values and learn to tell the truth. Now, my mother used to tell me, if you say something, question yourself, is it true? Is it true? So if it's not true, don't say it. So I speak the truth. They don't like the truth I speak because it doesn't uphold their legitimacy. If you tell the truth about them, then they lose a little bit of their power because they want to run right over you and want to lie, cheat, rob, and steal and act like they're doing the right thing when they're not. So let me see how many people I got on here. We'll continue this dialogue about the dirty court system in the state of Tennessee. If you want to hear the truth about behind the scenes stories, somebody that knows. And I had a great father. Now, he was killed when he was young, but people tell me, some of his brothers tell me he'd give you the shirt off his back. Very kind, loving man, and God took him home. My mother said she had a great assurance that he was in heaven, faithful to my mother, but God took him home for whatever reason. And but I had a great father, and so I honor my father and mother. I ain't got a bad thing to say about either one of them, and hopefully I'll live long. Maybe that's a shield about me. There are demonic influences and things that make a difference, and I pray that all the demons and devils of hell, that God will protect me from them. So let me see how many people I got in here. We'll continue this dialogue. Like, share, comment, spread this channel, and contribute if you can. And we'll change the format from time to time about where I'm at right now. I'm going down to the bridge. So yeah, we got a bunch of people on here. And let's see about some of the comments. There's oh yeah, we got a bunch of comments. Says salute from Romania. Hello, Romania. Blessing from the UK. Hello, UK. Is it that bad in the UK? What the hell is going on in USA with these assassinations? Hopefully they won't go out of hand like they do in 60s. Yeah, that's right. Just because demonic forces are at work. Where are you going? I'm going down to the bridge in Knoxville. They closed down one of them and there's not many more to go. He's crossing the border. No, I love America. I'm trying to make it better. Bro's on a mission. That's right. Thank you. Just another day. I blind you ripping. He is going to that judge's house. No, I don't believe in violence. I'm putting, I got a cell phone and a worldwide audience, and he can shut me up in his courtroom. He told me, I showed you a video yesterday. He said I couldn't answer questions to defend myself. He knew the case before it was over because he done knew what he was going to rule. I'm not on the way to his house. I'm on here, right here, speaking at the top of my lungs that he's a dirty judge, Judge McMillan. I'll show you a picture of him here in just a second. Well, Jewish law, just another day, our country shouldn't work this way. That's right. You know how I know that Jesus back, because he left his children and he is coming back. Still hasn't shown up. Defamation is the same as a non-complete contact total under. Yeah, okay, I remember when people used to read chat. I'm reading it now, recorded stream. No, it's not. It's not a pre-recorded stream. This is live. Live, I'm right here. Said hi, Lawrence. Hello. David Thomas Mayes, you look, I like the butter bean. I just watch, where is this? Yeah, listen to these people. Look, you've heard Jesus is a, well, wait a minute, I'm not reading. Get these steps in. Dad, is that you? I don't know. Where are you going to? Go Vols. That's right, go Vols. The only person who wins in court is the lawyers. That's right. Who's going on? It's an important daddy party. Yeah, that's right. Go Dogs. Okay, location, hey man, Knoxville, Tennessee. So we read some of the comments. Thank y'all. So Charles Van Morgan in the morning. The Charles Van Morgan Show in the morning. Here we go. Thank y'all. So let's go back to defamation of a private person. Just so you know, if you haven't put yourself out in the public, if you're a private person, then the standard for you is that if somebody says something about you that's false, that's communicated to at least a third person. Now, if they're just saying it to you, it's not defamation. They might get the face right, but don't do that. But if they say it to a third person, communicated a slander spoken or libel written, so if they say it on the internet, put it on Facebook, then it's communicated to at least a third person. It's that tends to lower you in the stand in the community, say something bad about you, then that's defamation. So all you have to do is go to court, sue them in court. In Tennessee, I think you can sue them for slander for 6 months, spoken, and libel, I think it's 2 or 3 years. Don't quote me on that. But spoken, it's a little shorter time period if they just say it to a third person. And all you have to do is sue them in court, and sue them for defamation. And you have to prove in court, if they contest it, that they have said something about you that's false. And you can win money against them, depending on how much damages you've got. And people do sue for that. The problem with that is, and a lot of people don't sue because, like, for example, if Major Stacey Heatherly, if she wasn't a major, she was a private person, and she should be. She shouldn't be in any form of government office. And she's a con job, even according to other people that work with the Highway Patrol now that try to hide from her, and even according to high-confluting people that have held high positions in Highway Patrol that have since retired. But if she was a private person, and I call her a drunk, and she is a drunk, she's gotten in trouble for being a drunk. She has used taxis, used Highway Patrol as taxis when she's drunk, and been let me run across this road here, and been okay, yeah, here we go. So we'll get across this road here, and she was drunk at Calhoun's on the river, and she called and her party, her husband and some of her trooper buddies that are sure of keeping their job, they won't be surreptitiously recorded while they're having a drunken party with her in her camel toe outfit that she likes to display in front of supervisors to help her promotional opportunities. And that's not defamation. I've seen it firsthand myself. It's disgusting and sick. But if she wasn't in government office, if she wasn't a major with the Highway Patrol, camel toe, wrinkled uniform major, I'm just saying that's the truth. But and I said she was a drunk, she could sue me in court. Let me make sure I don't fall down here. She could sue me in court for defamation if she wasn't a drunk. But the problem with that is, the problem that you run into if somebody calls you a drunk is that when you sue them for defamation, you're trying to prove what they say about you is not true. And they're trying to prove, if they say you're drunk, that you're a drunk. So that's the case. How many people want to go to court, and you're suing them in court, you're bringing them in court? How many people want to go to court and argue all day long, however long it takes, that you're not a drunk? And they get to bring evidence, if they have any, and they can, to defend themselves. They should be able to, if it's a fair court, that they are not a drunk. So you got to listen to that all day, or however long it takes. Excuse me. That you're a drunk, and they're going to bring evidence to try to show that. Let me get me something to drink here. They're going to try to bring evidence to try to show that you're a drunk, and you're going to sit there in court and listen to their witnesses talk bad about you. So, who wants to sue somebody? And listen to that. Now, you can, but that's one of the problems with defamation. You're going to have to sit there and listen, most likely, unless it's worked out. You could have to sit there and listen to their liars, to their lies, and any credible evidence that they can bring forward that you're a drunk or the bad thing about you that they said about you, because they're going to try to prove it's true. That's the issue. If what they said about you is true, then they're allowed to say it. If you are a drunk, then they can say that you're a drunk. They can say it to a third person. They can put it on the internet. And if you sue them for defamation, then they're going to say it's not defamation. I said that about them because it's true. They're drunk, and they're a drunk, and they fall down, and people need to know how dangerous it is to be a drunk. So people need to know that, and what I said was true. And they bring in witnesses to say that. So you got to listen to that. For however long they have witnesses, could be a long time. And a lot of people don't like to sue because of that, because I don't want to hear that. So a lot of people just let it go and maybe get on the internet and contest it and say they're wrong or block them. So I understand that. That's one of the issues with defamation, is you got to listen to them try to prove what you didn't want to hear in the first damn place. And that's the thing about Judgment Milling. I don't want to hear defamation about me. A lot of people say bad stuff about me. I don't want to hear it. Now, if it's something constructive, I'll use it to my benefit. But when I was running for governor of the state of Tennessee, I was out knocking on doors, telling people how dangerous this government is, just like I am now, how dangerous judges are, putting out literature and information about them with their pictures on it. They got a lot of power. I have a right to say, you know, in Russia, wouldn't it be wonderful if people could pass out information that is against the president of Ukraine, against Vladimir Putin, the wicked, corrupt murderer that he is, that is responsible for millions of lives lost? Wouldn't it be great if Russian people could pass out information criticizing the war, criticizing Putin in public, and Putin couldn't do anything about it? And people could make up their mind. Is this a good war or is it a bad war? But the information against it could be out there. Could be out there how many soldiers had died and their reasons for not approving of the war. That'd be a wonderful thing, because then the citizens could decide, do we want to continue to vote for this man? And maybe they do. Maybe they do. But they have the other side of the story, that it's not a good war. Children are being killed. You're bombing children. You're bombing hospitals. This man is doing that. And they should be allowed, people. But in that country, you can't criticize Putin. State-run media. If you criticize Putin, you could be blown out of the air in an airplane, like his former waiter did, or eat some poisoned food. You're exiled to another country, or you'll be arrested by his court system, prosecuted, and put in jail. You see it all the time on TV. They got him in that glass box and trying him for all kinds of rogue charges. Those are people that have criticized Putin. Anything he does, he wins hands down. In elections, supposedly they're rigged because no one's allowed to say, no opposition is allowed to present a case against him. And even if you don't believe the case, it should be presented in our courtrooms in the United States, supposedly, but that's not really the way it is. It's a facade. It's just a means to say, hey, we're legitimate. We let the other side have their case. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Things are pre-decided to keep them in power, to make them look legitimate. And the only time things come out is like Baumgartner, when it gets so bad, when they're raping so many people, when they're so drugged up they can't even sit on the bench without falling asleep, when you have to overturn cases of murder of college students here in Tennessee. Then it gets that bad, and we're going to have to turn loose of this one that was in our favor, like Baumgartner. But judges do dirty all the time, rule for no legitimate reason in the state of Tennessee. But I have a right to knock on doors and present my case, that I think, and I do, I know this, I can give you evidence, that the Tennessee court judges, the Tennessee court system is rogue as hell. They're violent, dangerous people. They shouldn't be sitting on the bench. And most people agree. I've done surveys, and I'll show you my chart if we can get down to the bridge before too long, that people agree there should be a special prosecutor's office set up for people in government power. They have special prosecutors all the time set up for you and for their proxies, but they're special prosecutors that are rigged, because the special prosecutors are special people to let people that are in government power out of their charges, is what they are. They're not really prosecutors. They're special help the powerful people out. When it gets to the case where it looks like bias, well, this is the person that they're going to know, the public's going to know that we're biased. If I let this person out because I know them, so what we'll do is we'll let the district attorney from the county over investigate a case. That way it looks unbiased, and help the person out that I want helped out. And then when they have somebody they want helped out, they'll send the case to me. But it looks unbiased, it looks legitimate. It's not unbiased, it's not legitimate. It's friends helping friends, keeping the powerful people in office. But defamation, when I was out knocking on doors presenting bad information about them, they don't want me to do that. They don't want me to present truthful information about them. So I was arrested for that, put in jail. Of course, the charges were dropped. I was sued in civil court for a false social order of protection. I've been with Michelle for over 30 years. If I'm involved in domestic violence incidents, why don't I have any domestic violence charges against me? Maybe because I'm not a violent person, you think? But they rig it where somebody in the repulsive leadership, not the people, get a social order protection because they got some kind of social connection to me by family, and rig it because he don't want me to get elected. He wants to defame me, and he wants some of my mother's estate, which he got more of my mother's estate than I did through Judge McMillan. So they sue me into court. Now, I'm a free person. If they don't want to listen to what I got to say about them, turn off my YouTube channel. The signs that I pass out all over the state of Tennessee, don't read them. If you see them, tear them up, throw them away. They could do that. Or go on television and refute what I'm saying. Refute it. You got a side too. You can say your side. They've said their side very clearly in their illegitimate rulings and their false lies that have damaged the public. And I'll show you some of them. But they say what they say, and they're not quiet about it, from a megaphone with the legitimacy of the government behind them, which is illegitimate in the state of Tennessee. It's crooked as hell. Crooked as hell. They cost people their lives. That's why I'm out here saying something about it. It's not just cost you a little money, it could cost you your life. How dirty they are. They made the roads more dangerous. But I'm out here knocking on doors. And like I said, if you sue somebody for defamation, you have to listen to what they say about you, and an argument in favor of something bad about you in court. A lot of people don't want to go through that. I wouldn't want to go through that. But what they did to me is they dragged me into court. I was out campaigning for governor against the governor that promotes them, that's in power now, and saying bad stuff about him. So they want to shut me up. They don't want me to do that. They don't want the truth to come out about the dirty governor, the Christian governor. How do you say that I'm a good man in the state of Tennessee? How do you prove you're a good man? You allege you're a Christian, that you're a church-going Christian. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a church-going Christian. God bless you, do that. But I'm just saying, if you allege that and run for public office, people are going to say, well, that's a fine man, ain't it? Yeah, right. He's about as straight as a dog's hind leg. Crooked man. Look who he hangs out with. But they forced me into court, dragged me into court against my will while I'm out speaking against them. I mean, I was literally knocking on doors, trying to win an election to protect Tennesseans from their dirty, crooked corruption. And they said, we'll show you. We got an insider that's got a little close to family that wasn't even at the location where the incident was supposedly taking place. We got an inside person that's in the Republican Party, that is a paid member of the Republican Party, that knocks on doors, puts his foot in doors where people try to close it. He bragged about that, where they try to close it, where they don't want to hear him put his foot in the door, block the door, where they had to hear his foul mouth, where he's a whoremonger, a deadbeat dad, beat up a mentally handicapped man. We've got him that's willing to lie on Van because he can even get his inheritance out of it. And we will drag Van into court because it'll look legitimate because it's a Tennessee court system. Tennessee courts are legitimate. Yeah, right. You believe that? You go right on. I'm telling you, I don't believe it for 10 seconds. I think we need a special prosecutor's office to throw some of their asses in jail for the danger that they cause Tennesseans every single day. If you want to hear that, if you like this channel, I'm the only one willing to fight these dirtbag crooks for your protection, for your safety and protection. I'm throwing the rock. Are you listening? So they dragged me into court, and I had to listen to that dirty judge. If you missed it, replay it. Replay what that dirty judge. Now, I'm not going to their houses and calling them saying disgusting things about them to their face. They would say, "Get out of here," and I would get out of there. I'm not a person that violates people's rights. I never would, never have. So not intentionally. If I did, I'm sorry. I apologize to you. I mean, I'm not alleging I'm perfect. I'm just telling you the truth. So they dragged me into court where I can't leave. I was knocking on doors, campaigning against them, telling the truth about them, but they shut me up. They dragged me into court, or I'd be arrested. I brought 3 witnesses with me. They threatened to put my witnesses in jail. Judge McMillan did. Dragged me into court and said I had to go. I couldn't walk out the court. They'd arrest me. So they dragged me into court, and I had to sit there and listen to the judge, protected by his privilege. Protected by his privilege. He should honor his privilege. I mean, I would give him that privilege, but they should be very careful what they say about people behind the bench, because number one, you're not there on your own volition. I didn't sue anybody. I was there because I was sued by one of their political people that sued me in there falsely, lied in his application to get the civil suit. And the judge defames me while I got to sit there and listen to his trash. And I can't say anything about the judge. They found me in contempt of court. So I have to sit there and listen to a judge tell me, and you heard the video, rewind it, tell me, make fun of me in open court. And I couldn't leave. I had to sit there and listen to. Now, is that the kind of court system you want in the state of Tennessee? Now, I'm a fighter. I fought back. No, I didn't get up and hit him in the head. I wouldn't do that. I'm not violent. I complained, and it's on video. You've seen it. Through their appropriate system, that was unethical. He said some disgusting things about me. Trying to just dirty, rotten piece of dirt, forcing me to be there and listen to that crap because I have the audacity to criticize the Tennessee people in government power that shouldn't be there. How dare you criticize us? You're running down our legitimacy. You're making it harder for us to run over people, to keep our power. You're making it harder for us to steal people's money, because there's a financial incentive for that judge to do that. Now, if you like this, like, share, comment. I'm just telling you the truth, how dangerous our government is. People are afraid of snipers. If you get out and Charlie Kirk was, and tell the truth and speak what you believe, and people don't have to listen to it. If you didn't like what Charlie Kirk said, leave. Turn your TV off. Get your own prove me wrong, and start it and defy him. Speak out for gay rights and all that stuff if that's what you want to do. You can get on the sidewalk and you do that too. You got just as much opportunity as Charlie Kirk says to do that. And if you don't like what he says, don't listen. Or get up, get a microphone and argue with him. Now I tend to favor most of what he says, but to shoot him like a sniper is sick, demonic. There's demonic forces involved in that sickness. Anybody that celebrates a murder, a ruthless, cowardly murder like that, is a sick, demonically influenced person. I wouldn't care if it's a gay man out there promoting a gay lifestyle and you shouldn't shoot him. Hell no, that's wrong. I don't care who it is. That is a horrible, disgusting disgrace in a free society to do that. And people are disgusted about that. And I'll get to my point in just a second. Let me see if people got on here. Thank you for listening. Like, share, comment, donate. Keep this movement, keep my voice going. Keep me on the bridge, sharing my information. I got something on the sign I want to show you. So let me see how many people got in here. Thank you all. God bless you all, I pray. So yeah, we got a lot of people in here. My location is Knoxville, Tennessee. So they dragged me into court, and I had to listen to that stuff. I had to listen to his sick stuff. And people are afraid, like Charlie Kirk, where if you get out and speak the truth to power, that a citizen that hates your message will, from a cowardly distance in secret, where you can't even defend yourself, a sniper, where you don't even know it's coming, which is so sick. You have no opportunity for self-defense because they secretly climb on a building and hide, elude law enforcement, and take a shot at you where they're not in any danger at all, preemptively. And then they run away like a dirty dog that they are, under their satanic influence. And people are afraid of that, and I get it. And anybody that says anything about no sympathy for whoever dies in that circumstance, I don't get it. If somebody understands that, explain it to me. How, because you don't like his speech, you can say you have no sympathy for somebody that was shot dead from a sniper. I mean, you're just a sick, demonically influenced person, because that's not right. But let's talk about, now people don't want to talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And listen, this is very important. Very, very, very important. What about your government? People in power. Now, you are the government. What about people that have wrongly lied to you and got public power, and they do the same thing in effect? What about them? They got more power than some slime bag demonically influenced. What about people in government power like Judge McMillan that subpoenas you into court, mandatory, or you're threatened with arrest, even though you tell them, hey, I'm out campaigning against these people. I'm out knocking on doors talking about them, like in Russia. If you said something against Putin, he'd say, no, you're under arrest, come on in here. That's the same thing in America. That's the same thing in America. What about when they subpoena you into court? No, they're not shooting you in the head, but it's similar effect. They're defaming you in open court, saying sick stuff about you, ruining your character, making it hard for you to live on the face of the planet, saying sick stuff about you that's absolutely positively not true, and doing it for even financial gain and protected by the system if you even complain about it. I went through the system. I filed a complaint with the Board of Judicial Conduct. How dare he talk to a citizen in that manner and defame me in open court using his privilege? He uses his privilege. He can say whatever he wants to. How dare he do that? You know what the Board of Judicial Conduct said to me? They said, patronize me. Thank you for your complaint. We find no misconduct by him. So, yeah, look at the damn video, and that's not all he did wrong. That's not even close to what he did wrong to somebody else in the cases right before it, where he put somebody in jail wrongfully, allowing a sheriff's deputy to tamper with evidence. Stuff like that goes on routinely in a Tennessee courtroom down at this Baumgardner courthouse, and courthouses all across the state of Tennessee. They've got drunken judges on the benches that die in car wrecks drunk. You think they were sober on the bench? I'm not the only one complaining about this stuff. There are numerous other people run for public office. At least one I know, based on appeals court judges that uphold this trash, these sick people. And I have heard, I don't know, I know for a fact that it's that way in Tennessee. We need to vote these people out of office. We need to be upright and honest and tell the truth about them and vote them out. They even use our churches, our Christian churches, to silence me and promote these dirtbags. So you can't say anything about them, but they make you come to court where you have to listen to them, defame you. They'll show you say something about us, we'll turn it off, but we'll drag you into court, take your money, and defame you in open court to your face, and you better not move or say a damn word. You got it, we're in charge, complete charge. Yeah, they are, ain't they? Do you like that? There's one thing we have, and we're going to talk about that at the end. It's called the vote. The vote. So if you don't like this trash that these Tennessee crooked judges are doing to you, vote. We can vote them out. So we're going to continue this dialogue. We got time. We're going to talk about Attorney Deborah Martin for the state violating ethical rules. Attorney Joe Bartlett stealing people's money. State Attorney thieving running around thieving, stealing at the Baumgart, raping. and you know, I'm just saying, if you want to hear this, it's the truth. I'm the only one saying it. It takes money to speak the truth. So fund this movement. Power to you, the people. And I'm not saying anything violent. I don't believe in violence. Don't do anything violent to them. It's one thing I'm talking about, which they can't stand me to say this. Vote. They're illegitimate. They're not a legitimate government. Vote them out. You think Putin's a legitimate government going around killing people that say stuff bad about him? Why, when I say something bad about him, they don't say, that's not true, here's the proof? No, they subpoena me into court. They have officers beat on me. Why do they do that for? Because they're crooked as hell. Has it stopped me? No, because somewhere I read about my right to speak out against the government. And it's not defamation, it's true. It's not defamation like Judge McMillan. I'll explain to you about what he said and how he's a babbling idiot. So let's see how many people I have on here. We'll continue this. Like, share, comment, fund the movement. Thank you all. God bless you all. Help me keep this movement going. I know what I'm talking about. I was educated in the schools that he went to. I know more than he does. I'm a scrapper, a fighter. I know how to beat his, you know what, and that's what we're doing. You know, there's over almost 300,000 people by the time I turn this video off that have listened to me all across the world. Listen to me. How you doing, Judge McMillan? He won't let me speak in his courtroom, in his dirty courtroom. But can he undermine technology? They might if they kick me off this channel. Remember the brand name, Charles Van Morgan. Charles Van Morgan, I'll pop up somewhere else. They're not going to kill the truth and speak out against these dirtbags. Fund this movement. Keep it going. Help me fight these dirtbags. So let's see how many people we'll have. We'll continue this dialogue and talk about the dirty judge and dirty judges in Tennessee with facts and evidence. And Deborah Martin. Like, share, comment, contribute. Hit the icons. So let's see how many people we got and we'll continue. Yeah, we got quite a few. Lord, location, hey man, yeah, I already told you that. Let's read some of the comments. Greedy, corrupt, that's right, no one cares, old man. Yeah, they do. I care, no one cares. They gonna take your, yeah, they care. Hey, what y'all? They care. Let me, North Carolina, hello, North Carolina. North Carolina in the house. Hey, NC Tyrant Hunter. Yeah, there you go, North Carolina. There you go. What is your, Knoxville, Tennessee? People want to know my location. Knoxville, hello. I'm copying some of the, let's see, disgruntled ex-copper. That's not true. Yeah, that when you whopper, junior double. Yeah, that's a way to tell you I'm disgruntled. Is a way to shut me up. Disgruntled, I'm not disgruntled. I got a law degree, a doctor of jurisprudence. I'm a journalist. I research public corruption. I was in a war with THPP, and they did wrong. And that just gives me more evidence. I'm not disgruntled. I'm moved on. I'm moving on to protect the public. So I'm not trying to get that dirty job back. That happened 10 years ago. And no, I don't like it, what they did. It makes it hard for me to get a job. And that's something that happened 10 years ago. That's something they did just a few months ago too. Denying me my law license again. So, and also you forget, you may be uneducated. You can throw these names out here to try to put social pressure on me to shut up. That's how people do social pressure, to shut up. But you're on my channel, aren't you? So thank you for running up my views. And I'm not going to shut up. There's 300,000 people that like to listen to this. I'm an entertainer, a journalist speaking the truth, and I'm not going to shut up. You're not going to peer pressure me into shut up. You're not going to shock me, look at the studies, into shutting up. I'm going forward in the truth. So your peer pressure ain't gonna work. You just make me mad. And but I do appreciate you on my channel, hurling insults. So but Judge McMillan in the video, you can rewind it, said that I didn't know the law. Let me explain this to you. I didn't know the law. He said that because I said when I was testifying, he was critiquing everything I was testifying, not letting me even answer, refute it, because he done made up his mind. He said that I said, and I did say that the rogue people that drugged me into court wrongly, that signed lies about me, were trying to take my gun rights away. And they weren't. On the form that they sued me on, it said there was a box to check if they wanted my firearms taken away from me. They checked that box, that they were trying to take my firearms away from me. Fred Goodrich, a member of the Republican Party, was trying to make it where I can't defend myself. Making it where I'm vulnerable to other people, to where I can't defend myself if I'm running for public office. Somebody like him that beat up a handicapped man might try to beat me up, to shut me up violently. They might try to, if I can say, I'm running for governor, vote for me, and somebody might not want me to, and I can say, Governor Haslam and Governor Lee are one and the same. They raise your taxes and end their taxes. And somebody might say they don't want to listen to that. They want them to be elected because Governor Haslam gives them benefits. He gives them some of the money that he steals from you, that he steps over bodies to get. They might not want me saying that, so they might knock me down and try to stab me with a knife or try to shoot me. And so I'd be less likely to get out here without being protected. So the way to make him less likely to want to go out and face the public, people that are violent, is let's take his guns away. So they were trying to take my guns away. They checked the box. So I wasn't mistaken about that. That has nothing to do with knowing the law. I didn't say that they couldn't legally. I said that they were trying to take my guns away. They checked the box. I can show you the paper where they checked the box, trying to take my gun rights away. Now he assumed, because he's wanting to assume the worst about me, because he's a dirtbag, and I assume the worst about him, and I can tell you the facts, that they were trying to take my gun rights away. So he defamed me in making fun of my legal education, the same legal education he's got. And so he's assuming, making fun, he said, for somebody that says they passed the bar exam, indicating that I did, and I did, I have twice, trying to get my law license. They won't give them to me. They're blackballing me. And somebody that passed the bar exam, they should know that. Well, let me tell you something. If you sat in his courtroom, you'll see him numerous times, but he doesn't care about that. He cares about using his courtroom for a defamation, but using his privilege to defame a political candidate. I was a political candidate. So he uses his platform, his rogue court system, that the governor promotes him to defame a political candidate. So I'm sitting in his courtroom, got to listen to that defamation. He'll make fun of me, tell other people, this guy is stupid. He might have passed the bar exam, but he doesn't even know the law. That's what he's saying about me. And I have to sit there and listen to his garbage. Now I'm running him down honestly and giving you facts and refuting what he's saying, but he ain't got to listen to this. But if he wants to say something bad about me, they can sue you in the court and say whatever they damn well please, and you got to listen to their nasty selves. So that's what kind of judicial system in Tennessee. I had to listen to that garbage off that piece of dirt that made money off of it. So, and if you listen to him in his courtroom, numerous times, go in his courtroom, it's right down here, sit there and watch him throw people in jail wrongfully, lying for the government, violating the Constitution, stepping on the blood of soldiers that fight for due process. Due process is your right to defend yourself in American court. Soldiers fight for that Constitution and die, and he just wipes it all away in his little rogue courtroom down here. Defames people that say, hey, I got a right to speak, I got a right to run for office. Sues me in this court, I don't care about that. This is my courtroom, and we'll step all over the Constitution, and we don't care about soldiers dying. I'm not in any danger of dying. I got guards protecting me. I'll defame you by my cowardiceness. I'm out here in the public saying this. He's in a courtroom protected by law enforcement that pat people down because he don't want nobody in his courtroom armed, and I wouldn't. But he don't want anybody in his courtroom armed when he goes off on you, saying heinous, horrific, nasty. He said nasty stuff about me. Nasty stuff, insinuated stuff, nasty, man. He don't want somebody armed because not everybody's like me. Somebody might blow his damn brains out the other side of his head if he talks about them like that. And I'm not saying that's right. You shouldn't do that. But not everybody's going to put up with that. I'm peaceful. I wouldn't do that. So they got to pat people down before they go in there and talk to you like a dog, don't they? Yeah, and then they have all kinds of security in there, and schools are wide open. You know, I'm just saying, if he had to face the public in reality, he might not talk to people like that. Obviously, defamation and saying sick, nasty stuff about people. That's just a sick, nasty courthouse. Rape, robbing, stealing, go in there, drag you in there if you're running for office, and talk to your face like you're a dog. Under threat of arrest, there are several police officers, and oh, they was ready for me. He gets up, says anything, we'll beat the hell out of him. Police officers in there telling witnesses what to say. Sheriff's deputies in Knox County Sheriff's Department telling witnesses what to say under oath to get people incarcerated. That's what goes on here in Knoxville, Tennessee, under the Sharma Tissue Allen prosecutor's office. So I had to sit there and listen to that garbage. I had to sit there and listen to that. And I even appealed it. I handle things appropriately. They don't handle things appropriately. Their rules don't make a damn. They make them up as they go. And if you got them on a rule, they'll white out the rule and write a different one that makes it where you did something wrong. Change the rules on the spot. That's how dirty these sick people are. So I appealed to the Board of Judicial Conduct. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? It's evidence. It's on the record. There's even evidence of him putting a man in jail, allowing a sheriff's deputy in open court to tamper with a witness, and he adjudicated the man went to jail. Now that's pretty horrific when you incarcerate somebody and you don't give them their due process rights. So I had to sit there and listen to that garbage. I complained appropriately through the Board of Judicial Conduct. They sent me a letter saying he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. Right. And I appealed it through their appeals court. Their appeals court, it's on video. You can listen to it. Their appeals court. Now, the dirtbags that sued me, they got a lot more of my mother's estate than I did that are in the Christian coalition, Republican Christian coalition. They use churches to perpetrate this baloney. You know, if you think I'm running down churches, I ain't running down churches. That's not God. God's not doing that. God doesn't act on the church's behalf when they're not acting right. God doesn't judge people for speaking against wickedness in a church. He doesn't. Churches ought to preach the gospel and speak the truth and love and care for people, but a lot of them don't do that. And I'm saying go to church. I wouldn't avoid church. I'm just saying some of them are dirty, rotten. They think they're going to heaven when they're not. They're dirtbags. And they use a church to do that. And that's just so very wrong. So I appealed to the appeals court. And the appeals court, these people that sued me were, what do you know, they didn't want to have their face on the camera because appeals court's recorded. It was via Zoom, and it would have been recorded. They'd have their dirty faces on camera. So they want to sue me like a sniper. You know, hide surreptitiously. They don't want to be made public. They want to keep it like that guy said, till their death. You know, nobody know what they did, what they lied. See their faces. And so you could look at their lives and compare it to mine. My life's one of public service. I've led the state in drunk driving arrests. You can see a historic photograph of me at the University of Tennessee. I've lived a stellar life of outstanding public service, of caring for the public, of risking my life for the public. That's what kind of life I've lived. But you look at their lives. One of a deadbeat dad, and I went over this, a deadbeat dad didn't pay for his illegitimate child, and Fred Goodrich. And they weren't even in the appeals court hearing. You can watch it, it's on the internet. They love to put that out there. because they illegitimately rule against me. If the court rules against you, people tell me, well, the court ruled against you. Well, the court was wrong. They were bad wrong. They're ruling for the governor so that they can get promoted. That's the way they do. I can point to you the exact direction somebody goes when they rule something false that's not true. Brag on the governor. The governor promotes judges. I can show you their trajectory straight up to the Supreme Court. Millions, a lot of money, and even after they retire, they get a lot of money. That's the trajectory that they got. What a bunch of dirtbags. What a bunch of thieves, illegitimate people. State-run media backs it up. But I got their pictures. I showed you their pictures yesterday. So yeah, all this is the truth with evidence. They don't like me saying this, but I am anyway. You won't hear this on any other channel. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. So we're talking about dirty judges this morning. We're going to continue this dialogue. And if we got a second, we might continue tomorrow. I don't want to keep y'all forever. Hope you enjoy listening. And talk about state attorneys and their corruption. They won't let me be an attorney because they say I'm not candid. Candor is not telling the truth, not telling the whole truth, leaving stuff out. Am I leaving anything out? 99% of the judges in the state of Tennessee, very few of them are honest people. I know them personally, graduated from the law schools. I'm pretty candid. Excuse me, go ahead. They don't want me to tell the truth about them and to fight for you. The judicial system set up for them to take your money. Illegitimate. Sociology 101. It's not stuff I made up, it's stuff I know about. And that guy that said, oh, I'm just disgruntled about my disgruntled former cop. No, I'm not. I'm a well-educated former cop that's trying to go on but still getting blackballed by the dirty government. And you can say whatever you want. So let me see how many people I got in here. We'll talk about Attorney Joe Bartlett, the thief that stole somebody's inheritance. Like they tried to steal mine, and they did, a lot of it, and put it in their retirement. And Attorney Deborah Martin that violated ethical rules. But they won't let me be an attorney, but I can show you proof positive where they violated ethical rules. They lied to the court. That doesn't matter because that's what the court wants them to do. If that's what the direction the court wants to go in. That way they didn't make up the evidence. They just stamped the weight of law on lies. So let's see how many people we got. We'll continue that dialogue. Like, share, comment, contribute if you can. Keep this message going. We'll spread it across the state. And we'll vote. No violence. We're not snipers. We go to the voting booths and vote these dirtbags out of office. If you think it's bad, it's 10 times worse than what you thought it was. And I'm throwing the rock and telling you the truth about things. Let's see how many people we got. Vote. And if you like the channel, like, share, comment. We'll get to as many comments as we can. And hit the like button. And also contribute. Help me keep this message going all across the state. Fight for people's rights. The people's movement. And I know we're unruly, not civilly unruly. A loud voice. And we're not going along with the program. We're not violating any civil laws or any criminal laws. But the unruly are successful if you look at social movements. So let's see how many people we got. We'll continue the dialogue. Please contribute. So yeah, we got it. So get across this intersection here. We got 134 people in here. Thank you all. God bless you all. I pray. And we'll look at my sign here. We're going to come on the bridge and see how long I've been on here. Yeah, a little over an hour. So we'll probably talk about Attorney Bartlett, Joe Bartlett, the crook thief he is that sold somebody's inheritance, tried to. State attorney, state crooks, and Attorney Deborah Martin, state liar that gets fake stuff through court systems, lies on court papers. I'll show you blatant lies. I'll show you exactly. Facts, evidence, proof. They'll do it to you. And look at my picture here. I just want to show you what I got here today if you think I'm afraid of these dirt bags. And something happens to me, you know who did it? Look at this right here. Justice is not blind. It pays them to find you guilty when you're not. Look at this, section 18.2, bill of cost on county ordinance violations. County judge's retirement, $6. So when they find you guilty, there's no bill of cost. If they don't find you guilty, there's no money. If they find you innocent, there's no money. Nobody pays. Because you can file a social order of protection or a order protection that's free. Go down here to the Justice Center that's named after the crooked, good-for-nothing, not worth a nickels, not worth a damn nickel, Randy Nichols Justice Center, and you can get a social order protection free. You go down there for free, get a social order protection or a criminal order protection, and then you don't have to pay anything for it. Swear under oath, and a judge will sign off anything. And you take it to the judge, they'll sign it, and then they go sue you in the court. They ain't got to pay anything. They drag you into court. They drag you into court, in the Knox County Court. And if they say, no, he didn't do that, he wasn't even there, they weren't, that didn't happen, or that's not factual according to the law. Instead of doing that, they'll say you're guilty, because if they say you're guilty, the judge gets $6 a head every time he says you're guilty. If he says you're not guilty, then they don't get any money. So blind justice, really? That's a financial incentive for these dirtbags. They've already proven they're dirtbags in this crooked courthouse right here. Look at this crooked courthouse. Crooked Baumgardner Courthouse will find you guilty of a crime that you didn't commit. And look at this traffic here on Chapman Highway, backed up for miles back there. Look at this. Over the hill. Over the hill here. Because this bridge right here is closed down by your government. The government's closed down this bridge. People are going to avoid Knoxville. That Gay Street Bridge is closed down. This is one of only 3 bridges. They closed down a guy's repair shop over there to build apartment buildings. That's your government at work. So we got this on my sign today. They fine you $6. And my attorney, he won't, they lied about him. They even tried to defame him. If you have an attorney that stands up against you, against the judge, and tries to give you your rights, the judge went off on him saying he wasn't doing his job. You won't win in a Tennessee courtroom. Even if you're right, you won't win. They won't let you. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the First Amendment. They don't care about the Second Amendment. The First Amendment, if you say anything about them, they'll drag you into court and defame you. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They take your guns off of you when you go into court, and I'm not saying you ought to have guns in the courtroom. I don't think that, but they make sure that you can't defend. The judge could literally be armed and shoot at you. You couldn't even defend yourself against a rogue judge and find you guilty of crimes. My attorney went to court for I think 2 days, I know at least one, to listen to the judges and try to get a sense in order to defend me appropriately on a social order protection, a civil order. And he went and Judge Baumgardner's, in Judge McMillan's courtroom, and all day long, everybody that came before him was guilty. $6. Nobody innocent. And when I sat in his courtroom, he found somebody guilty that after he had to have a sheriff's deputy come in and tell him what to say so he could find him guilty and put the thing down. And when I complained about it, the judge did nothing wrong. Now that's the government. You have no rights, so we need to vote. So we'll be back on here tomorrow. I'm not going to continue. I'll give me some stuff for tomorrow. We'll talk about, remember, dirty state attorneys that lie, cheat, rob, and steal, that are part of their crooked system that tries to keep them legitimate at your expense. So thank y'all for listening. If you can, contribute, like, share, comment. We'll read some of the comments before we get out of here. Here's my sign today. Justice is not blind. It's $6 a head. That adds up, goes into his retirement. Section 18.2, bill of costs. They get money up for voting against you. So yeah, we're going to maybe put this in front of the courthouse. That'd be a good thing, wouldn't it? And here's my other sign. fraud elections. We might run for governor in 2026. We're carrying this sign showing people we're live now. We'll show people this little sign here. Wave at them. And we're not shy. On the only bridge, they got to come across this. They rigged it so we do. So we'll wave at people on this bridge. Show y'all we're not afraid. Stand up for what's right. Stand out against people in public power that are crooks. We're going to get off here. Like, share, comment. Keep me on this bridge spreading the truth. Thank y'all so very much. May God bless y'all, I pray. And last thing I always say is God loves you, and I do too. Until tomorrow, join us. Thank you.